Good morning, everyone. We are going to do a few anchors, and we're going to go through 4 of them with Cordon's help. He'll be tying them. So we will first start with the girth hitch slash larkspur. Those names are used synonymously, so Cordon will demonstrate those for us. And we will start with the girth hitch slash larkspur. So you create your water knot, your loop, and all you're doing is looping through that again. So can you do that one more time, Cordon? Just do that slowly. So you have your webbing already attached. You're going over, just coming through and snugging it up. That's your girth hitch. Then he's gonna lock it off. So if you wanna lock it off and make it a little bit more friction on the actual pole or beam you're on, you're just going to go through itself again, and all that does is create more friction. That webbing will still move, but as you can see, all it is just going back through itself one more time. Alright, Cordon, if we can do it the next one. So the next one will be a wrap 3 pull 2. And with the wrap 3 pull 2, you have to start with the webbing in the open position, and then remember you have water knots on all these, but the wrap 3 pull 2, nope, on the there, you have to start in open position. So you're wrapping once, you're wrapping twice, you're wrapping 3 times. So you have to have 3 wraps. So then you're tying your water knot at the end. Good, clean that up, good. Tie your other water knot at the other end. Tightening that off. Then you're gonna go ahead and pull 2 of the 3. Hence the wrap 3 pull 2. Good. And this again, these are all anchors. So remember too, that knot where the water knot is should be in the very front of the anchor point, because it's not creating any stress. So if you notice, he's pulling on that hard, and that's still pretty loose because there should be no tension on that, because that's the weakest point on the anchor. So wrap 3 pull 2. You can always do a wrap 2 pull 1, which is the same concept. You're going to wrap twice and just pull 1, but with this double loop, it creates a stronger anchor point. So wrap 3 pull 2. The next one we're going to go to is a double loop. And again, with the double loop, you're going to have your webbing totally untied before you start this. And basically you're just wrapping your anchor point twice, and then you're doing your water knot. You're gonna have to consider the length of your anchor, so you may have to pull back on where you put your water knot, because remember, when you go to pull that, it may be sticking way far out, so you may have to adjust again the length of your anchor by where you put your water knot. Something to consider when you're doing your anchor. So as you see, he put his water knot in, and he's just pulling 2. And one of the drawbacks on this one is now you actually have pressure on your water knot. So it's going to be a less effective or less strong anchor point, but it's still an anchor point. It's just now you're going to have pressure on that. Remember, that's the weak part of the system. But basically you're just pulling, and you could pull it around the back if you wanted to, but it's still going to have some pressure on that. You always have to watch these sharp corners regardless when we're doing our anchors, right? But all you're doing, basically, split those a little bit so we can just see that corner. It's 2, all it is 2 loops. So it's got a double loop, right? Go ahead and put it back together. You would clap on your carabiner right there. Again, your next anchor, double loop. Okay, last, we're gonna talk about the basket anchor. As Cordon undoes this water knot, the basket anchor, you're going to actually tie up your webbing prior to wrapping. And that's the easiest way to do it. And basically you're gonna, again, just do a water knot. Also consider the length of your anchor. So depending if you have a lot of room to have a long anchor versus maybe a small amount of room for an anchor, you're gonna have to adjust where maybe you put that water knot. So go ahead and put your basket. So basically a basket is you're just coming around the pole. Split that real quick, Cordon, just to show them. So basically you're just going around your anchor point and you're just hugging it and then bringing it together, and then that's where your carabiner would go. A lot of people, go ahead and open it up, will put a twist back here, and that twist should go back here, so that way you make sure that you're grabbing it with the carabiner, and then if you had more of these, if it slipped, it would still catch it, because that X back here actually makes it so you're catching all the loops if you have more than two. But again, this is a basket anchor. You are putting stress on, again, the weak part, because the water knot's part of the anchor, so you are putting stress on it, which makes it a little bit weaker. But basically your wrap 3, pull 2 will be your strongest of the anchors. All these anchors should still work, but just taking that into consideration, then your length is always what you're going to take in consideration. And go ahead and do that, Cordon. And that's it for those 4. We'll just consider anchors. Remember, anchors, bomb-proof item that it shouldn't move no matter what type of stress you put on that anchor point. That should not move. So that's one of the definitions of a bomb-proof anchor, is no matter what you put on your system, that piece, whatever you have it on, should not move at all. Usually about 4 inches on pipe. Remember, handrails are only rated for a very low amount, maybe 2,000, but that's at new. So we don't like to use handrails, but if we need to lash, we can do that with webbing. For other issues, if we need to lash the tear adapter, but we want to be careful at using that as an anchor point. So those are the anchor points we're covering for rescue this month, and we will be considering the ladder gin next.